see. Wow. What a game, I think we could safely say. Elyoya, was it as fun to play as it looked like it was?
The early game it was, the mid game a bit more stressing, but still fun.
Well, luckily, we're going to talk about the early game. Before we do, a little bit about picks and bans. Was there anything that caught you off guard here? Lucian Nami, obviously a very popular kill lane duo, but it looked like not at all consequential to your team. Were you ready for this draft when you saw it come out?
We were not expecting them to leave Poppy open, so that caught us a bit off guard, but still, yeah, I mean, we were expecting the Lucian Nami, and pretty much everything went accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it seems like you guys came out on top. Are you comfortable playing Trundle in the Poppy matchup for the most part? Is there anything that like you really try to be aware of when you do select that? I know it's a pretty conventional counter pick.
Would rather be in the Poppy side. I think the Poppy side has more windows to snowball the game, but I think both parts of the matchup are equally fine.
Yeah, I think if we can get the clip up on the screen now, we're gonna watch your early game pathing here, and we're gonna talk about a couple things. One is the fact that I think you've now ruined solo queue. Two is your decisions, the thought processes, getting into the mind of a pro, which is super important. So this is a pretty common strat that we've seen, I think, from you and Mad Lions, always laying down this early vision around enemy red buff. Like, how important for you is it to track jungler in the early game?
I mean, it's really important so I can adapt my pathing and look for either early invades or at least we have a good idea of where enemy jungle is starting. I think pretty much every team should place a level 1 ward. I think it's really OP, and yeah, it gives so much information.
And a bit of a spoiler as we play out here, you're gonna one camp and then gank. At what moment do you know that this is your strategy? What information do you get that you're like, okay, this is an opportunity that I can actually take? Like, are you coming out of champion select like, yeah, I'm doing red buff and I'm going bot? Like, when do you actually know that this is a good play to make?
I mean, yeah, literally in champ select, I think when they are playing enchanters, having summoners is really important for them. The moment they don't have a summoner, it's really hard for them to play. So I was not even expecting them to get a kill. I was just expecting to force some flashes, which is already a big win for this kind of lanes. And already give an advantage for the bot lane would be kind of game winning.
Yeah, and ultimately you clear like half the Scrugs, you opt to double down. Is this just a confidence play? You know that the Nami's level 1, you know that you guys can force more here on the bottom side?
Yeah, so Lucian took a bad trade, so we know we could just dive them again. And to be honest, Trundle level 2 is already good enough, like even level 1, like at level 1 you're already getting outscaled. No, but you are already good enough. Here I thought we had more damage, sucks. Mniski doesn't have enough damage, not my fault at all.
Ultimately. I mean, and look, like you guys are wildly far ahead at this point. Bot lane is essentially unplayable. Marcoon's been kicked out of his own jungle. You guys are taking camps left and right. So how did this game actually get away from you? How did it get so difficult in the mid game? Because most people I think would assume from here, well, most people wouldn't see past this game in a scrim. I think it would be safe to say this is an FF, go next in scrim.
Yeah, right now the game should be really in a favorable spot. I think we misplayed some moments where I can remember there we were not fast enough. Yeah, I mean, they just full rotated. We could have reset the Herald, and then the game would have been even in a way worse spot for them. We also had another wakey moment when we died on top, and then they could TP to save the bot lane play. So it was a bit of a sloppy game. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think we still played good. The early game could have been way better, but yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's one last thing I want to get from you before I send you back over to the desk to talk with the boys. Do you recommend solo queue junglers to take one camp and gank level 2? Is this something that you, a professional, are recommending to the impressionable children at home playing solo queue?
So please do not do this at home. Like, this is done by professionals, okay? Do not attempt this at home. It will go wrong and you are gonna flame me. I don't wanna have anyone tagging me on Twitter like, I did the same level to you did, it did not work. We are professionals, do not attempt this in home, okay? Keep the solo queue safe, please, guys. I beg you.
Thank you, Elyoya. That's your PSA. Please do not level 2 gank you Muppets. Just because it works in pro doesn't mean it'll work there. If you want to go join them in that middle, that wonderful seat waiting for you to discuss further.
Sure, okay, Caedrel, follow-up combo.
Yeah.
It's not always the best decision, but the logic that Elyoya gave us, the logic was pretty sound, dude. You said,
here's your chair.
Yeah, Drakos has got the bad chair.
He's got the bad chair. I think there's something you can pull to fix it or push in.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, but I definitely agree. Normally the enchanter lanes want to push, right? And the only reason they want to push is because they can play aggressive and they have sums to play defensive. They have a fallback option. But what tends to happen is when you lose the summoners and you're pushed far up and you have a wave that you want to crash, you can just get ganked so easily, you can get engaged on so easily, and then you just turn a lane that's winning into an instant losing lane.
Yeah, basically, and these kind of lanes are really snowbally. The moment they fall behind, these champs pretty much stop working. Like once Lucian Nami gets behind, it's really rough to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You referenced with Daniel over there in the in the conversation. You were talking a little bit about how, you know, with a start like that, it could and should have been a nice, easy close. It didn't feel like that in the end. You know, you said you guys got a little bit stressed towards that mid-game. Was that just some unforced errors on your part? Or do you give XL some credit in terms of they did kind of, they caught you off guard a bit?
To be honest, at this point, I think it's completely on us. I think if we are not able to close it smoothly, it's on us. Like, we have such an advantage that we should be able. And I would say it comes down to a bit of miscommunication and also misplays in some really crucial fights. I think we forced Nash many times and the turns were not good enough, or we were not everyone on the same page. Like, I remember one scenario where like Lucian had no cleanse, he had no flash, and we red card instead of gold card.
Yes, I mean, that's
happy little accident.
Yeah, happy little accident.
Misclick on the little card. Now, but we saw it yesterday against Fnatic as well, where Humanoid got a triple kill in the topside jungle, where you guys sometimes, when you play aggressively, do you feel like, is it the comms that you think that you're strong enough to just keep going, or you kind of get a little bit too ahead of yourselves? Or like, yeah, we can keep going, and then you get collapsed and you're like, oh, well, that didn't turn out how I wanted it to.
I think we get a bit too ahead of ourselves. Like, we like fighting, and when we see a fight.
I mean, you had like 25 kills in 14, 15 minutes there or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, Niska was telling us as well that you guys were playing, you know, play the percentages, and you're a big part of that. You're a big voice in the team in terms of outlining, you know, the ifs and buts of the flowchart. Like you said, no cleanse. What does that mean? Do we commit? Do we not commit? Is that something that, you know, you will also bear the responsibility when it goes wrong?
Yeah. I even said in game that like we were having a bit of a shaky moment, and I said, let's follow my call. If it goes wrong, I take the whole blame. If it goes well, I mean,
accountability.
Like, I mean, I think it's better to have accountability, since then if it goes wrong, you have someone to blame on.
And League doesn't typically have like a real dedicated in-game leader in the same way like Counter-Strike does, you know, as in like, I'm the daddy, listen to me.
I'm the daddy.
But that's not, you know, there is always, I would imagine, you need someone to be taking the reins. You can't just have 5 voices. It can't just be a pure democracy, because otherwise it's just going to be chaos. You know, tomatoes in the Senate.
And it happens a lot that at some points of the game where everyone wants to give their point of view, it gets really stressful because you cannot hear.
You just go, shut up! Yeah,
kinda.
You've done that before?
Yeah.
That's the thing though, because you have so many point of views where it's like, oh, I want to wait for Infinity Edge, AD carry says, but the mid says, yeah, I just came out of base and I want to fight, and the jungler's like, I need to clear my bot side. So is there any kind of voice in the team who's saying shut up, or saying let's do this now? Or is there someone who's just micromanaging where it's like, okay, you go base, you push out top, you do your camps, and then we'll figure something out. Let's just calm down.
It's a bit of both, and I would say mostly it's me, the one that is calling them like, from now on, no more bases. We are playing on this wave into top, and we are like fighting once they come into us, and everyone follows. Yeah, because like when everyone tries to talk, we are everyone doing their own play, and if everyone is not in the same page, it sometimes does not work. So it got a bit shaky.
I can imagine. Well, it certainly wasn't shaky for Unforgiven, our key player of the game, a big one for him. And I'm sure there is just a little bit to be said about Unforgiven and his incredible, you know, arrival in the scene. It's not always been sunshine and rainbows, but a lot of people are putting him in their list of some of the best in the league in that role. I mean, a lot of credit for him. Draven, is that one of his favorites?
Yeah, it is. Indeed, like even too much, you know. Like even in some drafts, they have like every zone control in the game, and he's like, oh, Draven is looking really
Draven's
good.
Great, guys.
And Matt is like instantly.
What kind of personality is Unforgiven in game? Because we look at him, to me, he looks like quite a quiet person. He's incredibly good mechanically, incredibly gifted. When he gets ahead, is he the kind of player who's like, I need this, I need that, I need this? Is he very demanding, or does he just leave that to Kaiser?
He's too much demanding.
Oh, he's too much demanding.
He's too much demanding.
He asks for way too. Is he taking camps on cooldown? All that stuff, gank bot,
even
vision.
Like, he's like, can I get this grump? Oh, no? He likes it.
Is he the kind of person where it's like, when you take the grump away from him, he's like,
junglers are going to keep complaining about their
I wish I had that grump now.
Yeah.
This is just junglers complaining about AD carries, and there is always going to be friction in that relationship. So much love to you both. I appreciate your time, but we do have another game to get into. Yes, okay, camps, you can have some. I've got plenty of that. But let's send it over to Vedius and Oisin for Fnatic versus BDS. It's a big one for Fnatic.
What an incredible toss. I just love it so much. Welcome back to the desk. We are going to be taking the final 2 games of the day. I, of course, am just Oisin. He is the absolutely fantastic Vedius. And Fnatic versus Team BDS. And for Fnatic, they hit a milestone yesterday. Not a milestone you want to be hitting very much, but for the first time in 8.5 years, they went 0-5. Now they need to start turning a corner.
Yeah, they kind of have to. BDS would be the prime candidate that they would be able to do that against.
Fair.
But BDS find themselves with their backs against the wall. A loss today would mean that they mathematically cannot qualify to the LEC playoffs. This is literally their last chance. And from their perspective, this may be the best chance that they get. A struggling Fnatic that finds themselves on a 0-5 streak, that could be your best bet to bounce back.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we're going to be seeing exactly what they've got in the tank. You can see smiles, though, some good energy from the BDS guys. That's exactly what I'm seeing. And honestly, we got to kind of give kudos as well. It's like, yes, they did lose yesterday, but their early game was very, very solid. They were pulling G2 around the map, and I want to see them do something similar today now against Fnatic.
I very much agree. Let's see if Team BDS can convert an early game lead into a victory. They've only gotten one this split against G2 in the first half. And if they can secure a win against Fnatic, it could be the start of their miracle run. But let's see. So far, the bans are Yuumi and Ahri on the side of Fnatic. Fnatic very committed to not playing this Yuumi. They're also going to remove the Gwen, which does leave both the Poppy and Taliyah open. You imagine that either one of them will be a high priority. What will BDS trade for it? It looks like that they're going to get rid of the Gangplank, which does suggest that Fnatic, which of the two will you prioritize? Because I imagine they won't give away both.
You can't really give away both. And there's going to be the Taliyah coming in there for Humanoid. We've talked endlessly, even just this weekend, about how powerful this pick is. And honestly, it does feel like it can do a lot for Fnatic, especially in those mid games.
Certainly can. Very strong mid laner. I think one of the hardest parts is actually finding a good answer to it. I know over in the LPL, you were saying that Lissandra is something that's commonly picked as a means to try and provide that single target damage, that lockdown later on into the team fights as well. But even then, it can be very difficult to find champions that can rival her in terms of that early game push, and her roaming prowess that can be so difficult to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Lissandra is always a kind of a fun one because it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't beat it as such. It just kind of nullifies it and copies a lot of what it's going to be doing there. So you're kind of roaming around looking for those big flanks. But again, Weaver's Wall is just such an incredibly powerful ultimate. But no, the Zoe coming out here for NUCLEARINT now. He's happy to kind of take that one in. So bit of a poke champion. You got the Poppy there as well. Good kind of, early game coming out from the side of Team BDS, especially with that mid-jungle combination.
This was what we saw yesterday, right? That Zoe Poppy mid-jungle duo gives you a lot of agency and priority in the early game, because Zoe is a champion that from level 1 can already start to push that lane in. There's going to be a lot of fighting between these two mid laners rather to try and get some control over this lane so they can help support their junglers. But as is tradition, the Trundle being used as an answer to the Poppy. We just heard Elyoya talking about how he typically prefers to be on the Elyoya side, on the Poppy side, because you have a little bit more agency, a few more options. But let's see how Razork brings this one out.
I like this, and the crowd likes this. And I think the reason we like this is like when I think of Gragas top, specifically in the LEC, I think of Wunder on that mad 1v2 outplay on the top side. And that's something that can give you that little bit of magic, that little bit of, just gusto that you need to spark a reignition in the team.
It certainly can. Wunder's Gragas has been fantastic so far this split. Many were even considering putting him as the best top laner at the start of the season. But obviously, as Fnatic have continued to struggle, a large part of that, especially yesterday, was he wasn't getting the resources that he needed on the Jace yesterday. He really was shut down. We'll see on the Gragas if he even needs them, as supports are now being targeted from really both sides. That's Pyke and Rakan, both removed from Hylissang on the bot side of the map. BDS trying to limit Hylissang's ability to have playmaking power. Fnatic removing a few more AD carries. Sivir is, of course, still up and available.
See what they want to go for here. You've got the Sivir, you of course have the
Zyre is another potential option.
I was going to say that, kind of more hyper carries. And I will say, xMatty did very well yesterday. Unfortunate that they weren't able to kind of convert his early game lead, and the Lula gets in. So that's a lot of support bans. We're whittling down the pool down to away from those enchanters. It's going to be a lot of hard engage, you would imagine.
Let's have a look, see what direction both of these teams. Problem is with bot lanes is it's often very difficult to predict because you have so many options, right? Do you want to play more of the poke style, which it looks like BDS definitely do? Zoe plus Ezreal is a tried and true combo that has been played for quite a while. Just typically very good at being first on an objective, and it makes this fog of war a very dangerous place to face check because of the immense range that it has and the scary poke damage that it can provide when setting up around an objective is something that no team wants to deal with. But also Poppy, I think, synergizes beautifully with poke compositions because it helps create that space. The second that the engage comes through, you can use that Poppy ultimate to disengage and then reset the fight at range, allowing you to continue leveraging that poke and chipping away at your opposition.
Definitely have poke on the side there. We're going to have a little bit more engage coming out here as Fnatic fans in strong force today. They really want to try and be the sixth man for their team. And now for Team BDS, you are missing on a little bit of engage, but looking for, honestly, just a straight up front-to-back team fight if they do end up going with something like the Rel or the Alistar in the bot side.
I think that the Braum could be very solid here. I think what Braum in particular can offer is while BDS don't have the strongest engage, I think that when you look at the poke comp that they've decided to go for more of, it just adds to that disengage. It does mean that it's really important for them to be first on the objective because you typically want your opposition to be walking into you, which means that you're not that reliant on that engage. You can also better set up Agresivoo to try and find those flanks on the Gnar. But I also think that against Sivir in particular, his shield can be very effective at mitigating a lot of her pressure.
Sure.
So when you move her into the mid lane or when you move her to the side lanes to try and siege onto these towers, Braum can be very good at slowing down some of her great wave clear potential. So I think in the 2 versus 2, I do expect Fnatic to get that early priority, and it could be a lane that Fnatic can very easily play around, especially with this roaming mid style. And I would say this is very old school, traditional Fnatic, where you use your mid prio to move into bot side, look for a potential dive, especially with the Nautilus, whereas it seems BDS wants to be a little bit more top side focused, looking to play around the Gnar, and ideally their bot lane just tries to play as defensively as possible. Ezreal Braum is a very difficult bot lane to actually dive, and they're going to leverage their scaling to try and poke later on into the game. So I think both teams have very clear identities, very clear win conditions. The question is, can they execute it with so much on the line?
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think it's funny as well you say for Fnatic, the more things change, the more they stay the same realistically for them. And for BDS, they got nothing to lose, but we're going to have to wait and see which team gets the advantage in this game. To bring the energy. They know they need to stop the 0 and 6.
That they do. I like that we got a lot of cheers for Hylissang on Nautilus as well. I think that he's been a big topic of debate recently, largely because when he has been playing those range supports, we haven't seen that same traditional Hylissang that's roaming around the map, setting up plays, acting as that engage tool. But on Nautilus, he has a lot of agency to do just that. But we'll see what he decides to do this game. Wouldn't be surprised to see him move out of the lane every now and then, but I really do expect Fnatic to play towards the bot side of the map. Bit of an early ward dropped by Fnatic here on the top side Raptors, but the response ward from BDS, everyone kind of picking up from Mad's early game aggression, trying to get that information. I believe Fnatic should have spotted this one out because you can see that little blue ward just above this one. Our observers will highlight it. There it is. Thank you, observers. This little ward will have spotted out. So both teams know what the other one knows, which means that everyone kind of knows where everyone is right now.
We did this yesterday, Vedi. I'm not going to go back into the knows of knows, but we are going to see Hylissang kind of getting that scanner, excuse me, and that's kind of a standard setup now. You kind of get out super quick, get your ward down, go back, get a scanner, or vice versa. You can just go out with a scanner, assuming there's going to be a little bit of an invade. And that early vision, we kind of see it so often with so many different teams because knowing where the enemy jungler is going to be is so pivotal, especially when you've got things like a Trundle and a Poppy who are going to be active in that early game. We even saw in the last one, the flash over the wall with a Hex flash and trying to get some creative path things open to you.
Interesting. I'm interested in what Cinkrof is actually doing here. Starting on the red, going into the Krugs. I wonder if he'll do a full topside clearance to potential invade. Of course, they haven't quite spotted out Razork just yet. They know that he didn't start on his red buff. The assumption is that he started on blue, but a lot of creative pathing here. Razork now going to do a full topside clear, and as I say that, he will. He should. Ooh, so Cinkrof going to stand away from the ward. Of course, remember. Okay, so now he will be spotted.
They haven't pinged him just yet, but
what Razork does with this.
Razork's going to come into mid. He's going to have himself the Pillar of Ice, but a good flick back positioning means that NUCLEARINT's forced to flash away, and this is just the power of the Trundle. That pillar is so damn good, you have to respect it. If he's close enough to hit you, you're going to have to flash.
Well, so we talked in the draft about how both of these teams would be fighting over this mid control, and Zoe is a great champion at being able to get that early push because of the spammability of her Q and the amount of damage that it can do in the early game. What this does from Razork is it makes it easier for Humanoid to get the push because now NUCLEARINT has to be so much more aware of a potential gank.
This is cheeky. Cinkrof kind of says, right, Razork's on his red, so I'm going to try and take away some of these chickens. Gets himself one nugget, but a flat smite as well. So Cinkrof kind of just saying to Razork, look, I know what you're up to, buddy. I know where you are. And these little small opportunities are going to be good here for BDS. Again, had a great early game against G2 yesterday. Need to kind of keep that momentum as best as they possibly can going for them. And For Fnatic, it's all about kind of keeping things stable. I think the Gragas will still be in a fantastic engage point towards those mid lanes, and the Taliyah, again, we talked about so much, is just so powerful once you're able to unlock her from that mid lane.
So we can see that all across the board, waves right now are pushing in favor of BDS Razork. That's spotted out NUCLEARINT. But it looks like nothing too crazy is going to come off the back of it. It's important to note that xMatty and Limit were actually able to get the push in the bot lane 2 versus 2, but Agresivoo now could be in some danger.
I think he needs to know, he needs to recognize that you don't really have great vision control here. Razork is just going to put himself a little bit of a recall. Hasn't spotted out where the Gnar is just yet, and Agresivoo kind of pushing himself, saying like, right, where is this jungler? But not getting any real information for now. Both sides actually kind of just skirting around the vision. No one's actually been found out just yet. You can even see there Agresivoo taking the line, so he should just be just fine in this top side without ever knowing he was in danger.
Yeah, I really think that he got a little lucky. I mean, he must have had some awareness, of course.
All calculated.
That's a big Q onto Hylissang. He is low enough that xMatty could have looked for something, but again, they don't have information as to where Razork is right now. They will, of course, get that information. You saw a little ping just come up on the minimap from BDS saying, the Gromp is up, but Razork isn't here. Be careful bot lane. Yep. Because he could be doing his Krugs, he could be there, which is why xMatty chose to back off. But now that he's been spotted, he's like, oh, okay, well, I've got the TP anyway. I'm going to TP back into lane, and we can keep that tempo going. Because notice now, Upset hasn't had that opportunity to recall, whereas xMatty has the Sheen and the Tear starting to stack up.
Cinkrof was spotted here on this ward. He will recognize that he has been hit. The minion will tank up the trouble bubble as Hylissang's finally on a bit of a roam on the Nautilus. Flash over by Razork means that NUCLEARINT's got nowhere to go, and he'll be sent to the grey screen.
So that was a really good roam from Hylissang. We expected this type of movement to come from him, and he really didn't have to do much aside from show his presence, but Fnatic want to take more.
Yeah, they want to take more. Razork now with the company of Hylissang. It's going to be a jungle support 2v2 here as Cinkrof's kind of saying, all right, cool, thanks Limit, I'm out. And he's going to try running away as Humanoid was going to make it a bit of a 3v2 affair, but Fnatic, they get revenge for the stolen chickens, and they get themselves a little bit of a camp lead as well.
Good interrupt.
Oh,
they're going for the fight.
They're going for the full fight. Cinkrof this time around, though, is being ticked down by the Ignite. Needs to be very, very careful. They did have NUCLEARINT in the back pocket, so everyone just kind of disengages.
NUCLEARINT will get the flash hit. He needs to be careful because there's still 2 members of Fnatic. He's going to recognize it, not overextend. The cannon minion will be lost. Sad time, -1s in the chat for NUCLEARINT. xMatty looking for a trade. Upset's going to get a little bit of health back. Of course, reminder, the spell shield now doesn't give you mana, does give you health. So every time this poke champ throws out a Q, well, not every time, the spell shield's quite long cooldown. But
I was going to say, if you're spell shielding the Ezreal Q every time, like that's just...
get the point, you get the point. I will say, when we were in the green room, it was so funny to me seeing Fnatic playing Sivir and then also the traditional Grievous rushes. It's a very reckless thing.
Yeah. I guess the more they change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
But NUCLEARINT, he had a flash on his W, so he should just be fine there. Humanoid did get slept there by the trouble bubble, but got to be very careful here, NUCLEARINT. He still doesn't have his native flash available. You can see Fnatic, they're hyper-focused on getting this mid lane open and available for Humanoid to roam around.
Yeah, exactly that. Now that he's got 6, this is where we'll start to see Humanoid roaming and looking for opportunities. That bot wave will slowly start to bounce back in favor of Fnatic, and my expectations are that they'll try and use this window to set up for a play on the bot side of the map. But remember that Ezreal and Braum is a very difficult bot lane to really dive. So he's going to go for the Q.
He could have
been close, it could have been. But Razork, good awareness, realizes that, hey, if they're on the bot side of the map, I can cross map on the top side. Agresivoo needs to be careful.
He does, as Humanoid now trying to move up. Agresivoo's going to lose Mega. Oh, that explosive cast from Wunder, not ideal. Does put him away from the fight, so not really an opportunity here for Razork and Humanoid to make something work, and it's all just a bit scrappy at the moment from both sides.
Now, this could have been big for Fnatic because the Herald is spawning in less than 30 seconds. You can see that BDS, after securing the Drake, have already made their rotation up towards the top side. xMatty is still staying bottom. We actually see Hylissang pathing towards bot lane, now sort of moving his way up towards mid. xMatty should be able to get the push in, and this will give him the opportunity to roam up towards the top. This means that BDS is in a good position to actually contest the Herald if they want to. The question is, will they actually choose to do it? The top wave has been pushed in by Agresivoo. He's moving down, but Cinkrof is clearing his camps. And it looks like the moment of spawn, they don't want to be on it. So let's see what direction, because you know that this Herald is going to be the next big priority.
Absolutely, and I think you're in a pretty decent position here as Fnatic to be able to try and contest this one again. Like you said, the Weaver's Wall, you now have the Subjugate on the Trundle as well, so anyone who tries to be tanky will have their stats stolen. But now Agresivoo, you might have noticed a little bit too late. He might have to flash away from this wall, but actually it's Humanoid who's going to get bonked away, yeeted halfway across the map. as Razork just kind of can't really follow up on that.
Right, so a good disengage there from BDS. Cinkrof, after clearing his Krogs, was able to get the ultimate and was able to provide that safety for his top laner. Fnatic do find themselves with the gold lead for now. Remember that they were able to get that kill onto NUCLEARINT after burning his flash very early on into the game. But a bit of a slow start from both sides. No real aggression. Both teams looking for a little bit more in terms of itemization before really starting to force the fights. Of course, that one Drake sitting in BDS's back pocket means that both sides still have that clear win condition. This gold lead is continuing to mount for Fnatic, particularly in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely the pressure mounting here is BDS kind of saying, look, we're not going to let Razork have this for free. We have some decent wave control, and of course, Agresivoo having that Mega Gnar very soon makes him a very, very scary prospect, but upsets the first one to roam. You do not have a teleport on xMatty, so he couldn't join it even if he wanted to. He is going to get pushed right now, though, and Fnatic just delayed on this, and this is something that we've kind of been seeing a lot is that around this Rift Herald is that you kind of need to fully commit or not commit at all, and you can see they're leaving their AD carry in the bot side. They're happy with getting xMatty up to that 2-item spike.
Now, Agresivoo may have overextended here. Upset's going to pop the ultimate.
Oh no, Agresivoo. Not the time to be using your ultimate. He's not even going to use his flash. He knows he is dead to rights, and that's going to be Fnatic getting upset. A nice little kill.
Yeah, a really big blunder there from Agresivoo. You have to question why he chose to try and push that wave in when he knew that Fnatic was on the Herald. BDS intentionally chose to cross-map on the other side. xMatty going to pick up 3 plates, and if he just left, yes, his wave would have been in a very awkward spot, but at least he would have gotten away with his life. Now, Upset is going to be able to trade these plates on the top side, and look at Razork, he's hovering around, he has the Herald ready.
Yeah.
The question is, do they want to commit it now, or do they just want to make sure that Upset is safe enough to push in this wave? And it looks like they're going to do just that. Push in the wave, look to reset, and then perhaps once they get back out onto the map is when they'll look to use this Herald.
And it's little things like that that have just been plaguing BDS all split. Just small little, just poor decisions, to be perfectly honest, outside of anything else. That you made the correct call. You didn't have the numbers there to be able to contest it. Why do you kind of just, you know, almost like a goldfish, you know, take another rotation around the bowl and it's just like, oh cool, free map. No one's in lane. This is awesome.
Yeah, individual mistakes have definitely plagued BDS all across the board. Of course, they're still in a fine position for the time being. Remember that the core goal of their composition is to leverage their range, poke away at the opposition to make sure that they, well, they're chipped down before a fight even starts. And again, being first on the objective is really valuable when playing these poke comps because you force people to check into you, which then makes it even easier to land this poke. BDS find themselves at a slight deficit for the time being. Agresivoo looking for a bit of a trade onto Wunder.
He's going to get a good trade onto Wunder. Good explosive cast, though.
Nice.
That was a nice little switcheroo of positions here from Wunder. He just need that first barrel to get used to it. You know, you get the feel of it back again. As that ward placement for Fnatic has been absolutely fantastic. It's given them so much information all the time. And BDS, they sadly just cannot sweep it.
Look at Upset right now. He is chilling on the top lane. That will be his second plate of the game. He's continuing to just push these waves in. Needs to be careful, though, because BDS is en route.
I mean, everyone's there. Razork's going to be joining as well. You will have NUCLEARINT trying to roam up here on the Zoe, and it's kind of, again, supports and junglers trying to support each other. Limit, though, might be a little bit isolated here. The Weaver's Wall is going to come out to try and stop him from getting away, but now Humanoid's away from the rest of his team as the exhaust has to come down. The concussive blows on top of the Glacial Fissure is going to force Humanoid to flash away. You can see now Hylissang kind of left there. It's actually Upset got caught out, and his health bar deleted, and that's NUCLEARINT getting a kill. They're going to stun down as xMatty is feeling confident as Razork now very close to going down. NUCLEARINT finds the paddle star and BDS punish Fnatic.
And what a strange sequence of events. It looked initially like BDS wanted to collapse onto Fnatic, who then wanted to collapse onto BDS, who then wanted to collapse on Fnatic, and it was like, who can actually collapse on who? But it was Humanoid in the end that ends up getting collapsed on, and BDS are able to find a good first kill. So in this situation, BDS is trying to collapse onto Fnatic, and then this is where we see Fnatic trying to collapse onto BDS. And then BDS is saying, hey, well, we actually have mid-prior, so maybe we can collapse first. And they're like, no, we have control because we rotated from the top. And then we see Humanoid actually use the wall to separate himself away, so he ends up isolating himself from the rest of the team, which is kind of what made the sequence of events so strange. He's forced to flash away, Upset can't really offer assistance, and a good panel start from NUCLEARINT secures that first kill. Into the stun from xMatty and Limit, and then the damage coming out from downtown. xMatty likely securing that kill if they weren't able to land the bubble, means the BDS find themselves with 2 kills.
Find themselves with 2 kills, and again, like we didn't really get to see at the start there, but Upset just got caught, obviously, because he completely Shelly gets to do her favorite thing in the world. It's going to be a trade of top tower for that dragon. That second dragon of the game now here for the side of second dragon of the game for BDS, but Fnatic, they want gold right now. They still have the gold lead as of the moment, but Agresivoo should be able to stop Shelly from getting the second head bop, much to the dismay of this Berlin crowd.
I feel like Shelly is their favorite.
I can't really blame them.
But
Shelly's
she's dead
great.
now.
4 now, not just dead now.
No, she's
4
dead
now.
She doesn't resurrect, it's a different Shelly. Okay.
Is it? Is that the canonic?
That's what I believe.
Oh, okay. It's now about beliefs.
Yeah.
Didn't realize we were getting philosophical here. As Cinkrof does Hex Flash over the wall, and Upset has to get his back stopped again, so he's not going to be able to cash in on a little bit of that gold that he's kind of sitting on right now. Only about 800 or so, so about the cost really of his Kraken Slayer that he's waiting to kind of finish up there, but still enough of a power spike that he'd really want to get that going.
I see you, Oisin. Get more confident with the tools.
I learned. Get to use the technology now.
Why don't you bring up the total gold graph and we can see how the gold is distributing across the board right now. So this is the total gold presented by Santander right now. We see Humanoid actually sitting at the top. Did secure that first kill and you can see it at the scoreboard at the bottom. Does have that 1k gold lead over NUCLEARINT, but xMatty is right behind him. He had a solid performance yesterday. Wunder looking for the play.
He is looking for the plays. We'll see them get the sleep onto him. And this is the thing, the Gragas does a lot of damage, but he is very squishy in the early stages of the game. He will get blown up by a Zoe Q or even an Ezreal with enough kind of stacked up, and this is just BDS brute forcing in this bot side and kind of saying, look, Fnatic, we are stronger as of right now.
Props to BDS. Outside of the mid lane, they're starting to accrue small gold leads across the board. The gold is pretty much dead even. Humanoid will be able to push in that top wave, but Agresivoo is there to catch it. And once again, we're seeing a very solid early game from BDS. This was something that was very common for them last split, and we saw it from them yesterday. It's just their mid-game where things really start to fall apart. This could be such a big opportunity, a must-win game for BDS. If they lose today, they cannot qualify for the LEC playoffs. They will not get a chance to compete for that world spot. Fnatic will find themselves on a 6-game losing streak, but for Fnatic, this could be the beginning of the turnaround. At the start of the second half of the split, they did have to play Rogue, they've had to play Mad, they've had to play XL, they've had to play some heavy hitters in the league, and this could be a good bounce-back game for them to start regaining that momentum as playoffs draw ever closer.
Absolutely, and I think the best time to gain that momentum is as you get closer to playoffs, so no better time to start getting those wins in, but you got to be able to get them in. This game is fairly close, apart from those 2 dragons there for BDS, and second Herald's been started off by Cinkrof, but he has been spotted out from it, so he's just going to have to back himself away a little bit from it. But you can see Fnatic, they're not willing to let this one go because it would mean priority in that mid lane for this 3rd dragon. Here we go, full fight going to happen right on the back fight of this Herald fight, kind of coming in. The good hammer to keep them away. The Braum has gone down. Agresivoo can't do much against Wunder. That Shelly's still going, and they're going to have some decent bursts on the Razork. He does have the flash after using the smite for some extra health. Then they get flash on the bat. It's so scrappy, so all over the place. But Fnatic are the ones coming out on top.
Very scrappy fight from BDS. Fnatic was primarily clumped as a 5, and there was a weird skirmish from either side as Wunder was trying to keep Agresivoo out of the fight. He was in Mega Gnar, but never had a good opportunity to use the ultimate, and Cinkrof was just isolated in the pit. And just look at the positioning right now of BDS. You've got 1 on the top part of the river, you've got 3 around this red buff trying to enter the choke, as Fnatic primarily has control. A good pillar and a wall from Humanoid separates BDS away from the front line, and Agresivoo gets ulted by Wunder, limiting his impact in the fight. So credit to Wunder there, but you can see how the fight is just so scattered for BDS, and it's much easier for Fnatic to play. Razork gets very close to losing his life, but Upset is left untouched, forcing Cinkrof to flash away. They get that initial kill onto Braum, they convert it into another one onto Gnar, and that will mean a Herald for Fnatic.
Herald and a 2,000 gold lead as well. It was very all over the place, and in that mid lane, that's starting basically all of the gold lead is on Humanoid right now over NUCLEARINT, 1.5k, and honestly just a straight up item ahead of him as of right now. But 40 seconds till the dragon spawns. We now see xMatty has got that arcane shift, but Razork still feeling confident. Wunder will have the explosive cast, but it knocks him against the walls. So xMatty will be about half health before this dragon spawns in 30 seconds, but xMatty is very big. 2 item spike, the Essence Reaver and the Muramana. Massive moment here for the Ezreal, especially when you're looking at a Sivir on the other side.
And look, BDS is actually first in the river. This makes it very hard for Fnatic to approach. Oh, unless they do that.
Unless you get caught out, these flicks from Humanoid have been fantastic. There's going to be the ultimate from the Sivir to try and speed everyone up. Shelly will be able to get the belly boop off, and another flick back means that NUCLEARINT is dead. That's a double kill coming out now for Wunder. Fnatic, they're building that momentum we talked about. They're building up some movement to try and make sure sure this game can be a win for them, and they're starting to get some good results from the play.
Fnatic are finding pick after pick, and they're looking a lot more confident on the Rift. BDS are very quickly falling apart, and they were in a good position. Forcing Fnatic to walk into them was the best way to utilize their poke, but Humanoid with a really good pick onto Limit is really what started the cascading falls of Fnatic. Kill after kill, they've now secured themselves a Drake. They've cut off that clear win condition for BDS, and they're continuing to mount an ever bigger gold lead.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit scary now for BDS. As Limit, again, finding himself just in no man's land, has to use his flash defensively, but I have a rule when it comes to warding. The buddy system. You gotta have a buddy, especially when you're behind.
And look at this pick from Humanoid. Beautifully played. Lands on the stun. The rest of the team is ready to follow up. They also dropped the Herald in mid, so they had control in mid, and they regained access to the river very quickly. Fnatic, off that single pick, were just very quick to convert, and Humanoid able to find another knockup off the back of Hylissang's stun. Hilly here, utilizing his ultimate. It was a good one, but there was really no more follow-up CC. If Wunder had had his ultimate, that could have been more kills for Fnatic. But they settled for the Drake. They settled for the Herald, getting a charge down onto that tier 2. And Fnatic looking to bounce back from their 0-5 loss streak.
Good moments here from Fnatic. Again, it's very scrappy. It's very kind of scattered, shall we say, from both sides. But Fnatic seem to be comfortable in that setup. They seem to be comfortable going for these isolated pickoffs, because even just a single target CC you have with the Nautilus, the Taliyah, the Gragas, you can burn anybody down, as we've seen multiple times now so far in this mid game.
For sure. Fnatic, they have a lot of options right now with so many towers secured. The ability to just push out these waves, especially with the Sivir. They can start moving their vision line deeper and deeper into BDS's half of the map. Fnatic looking confident, and already we start to see it. The mid wave has been pushed in. They're looking to try and take away this Grom. See if they can protect this vision. Razork was debating, can I win this fight? Yeah, no.
Do I know where anyone else is? No, I back away. It's like no vision really on that river for the side of BDS, and this is where the poke comp kind of has a bit of a problem right now. When a poke comp gets ahead, it becomes exceptionally powerful. You control vision. They have to come into you. You're kind of getting them down along the way, on the way to the vision, or along the way to the objective. You don't really have that luxury right now as BDS. They're going to try and look for these kind of pickoffs, but very difficult against a Sivir.
Good damage though onto Upset. NUCLEARINT finds himself 2 levels down though behind Humanoid. He's even lower level than his AD carry right now, which is very uncommon for a solo laner. NUCLEARINT 50 CS down as well. Really been shut down by Humanoid, especially after the repeated ganks that we saw in the early levels. Humanoid already level 14 even. He's, wow, absolutely crazy advantage in the mid lane. Fnatic find themselves in a very convincing position and finally looking to bounce back after what has been a struggling last few games. Reminder that Fnatic find that if they had lost today, they would have been 2 games behind 6th place, right? Like the playoffs after this game will only be 5 games away. And, you know, we say it a lot in the LEC, but every game counts. You know, you're getting closer and closer. And it's a must win, but for BDS, if they don't find some miracle comeback,
it's even more must win.
Yeah.
It is literally, there is no other way to put it. You lose and you're out. Your season will not go past the regular season. You will have 2 more weeks of play, and then we'll see you in 2023. So as blunt and awful as that sounds for these players, that is the situation they find themselves in. So Fnatic looking to try and bounce themselves back, keep themselves in contention not only for playoffs, but even higher seeding in the playoffs, because they want to be making it to Worlds. The prestige of this organization throughout the years of League of Legends, both internationally and in Europe domestically, it is just expected that they will be there at the top, especially now that Europe has 4 seeds. But here we go, Fnatic looking to try and make the mark in this fight. Limit's been isolated away from his team, and rocks are better than ice.
That they are. Fnatic find themselves another pick. They forced xMatty off the play, and now they're looking to siege onto this mid-tier 2. They have the dragon spawn in a minute's time as well, but Fnatic can secure it afterwards.
Yep, they get the tier 2. That's going to open up more of this side lanes. You know, the reason why the mid lane tier 1 and tier 2 are so important is because they just give you so much more extra room as the offensive team and less as the defensive one. So you gain so much extra, you know, fog of war to work around and just kind of constantly push in onto the enemy team. So Fnatic now happy with what they've gotten so far. It's about a 5,000 gold lead now out of nowhere. And you can see it was just mid lane going ahead. Now every other single lane is actually having an advantage.
And to just add insult to injury, of course, the Infernal map did spawn earlier on, but it's just a big nerf to Zoe. Less walls means it's harder to land bubbles, and especially contesting around this vision space is super hard. But BDS find themselves in the river once more, but a choke point for Razork.
And I do have a little bit of a choke point, but Razork happy to pop down the pillar of ice and back himself away. The flick back, not quite there. Cinkrof jumps straight on the Humanoid, but a pixel perfect cleanse right off the back of it. A NUCLEARINT. He is not having a fun time in this series right now. He is just getting absolutely bopped about the place. Razork not quite done with the fight yet. Cinkrof could go for a steal. Razork's very, very low. Needs to be very careful. Wunder gets yeeted across the map as Fnatic's Humanoid tries to just kind of do the damage. The TP from Wunder on the backside of this one, though, will definitely be a bit of a surprise for BDS. The Dragons reset. Agresivoo flashes immediately. Limit and Cinkrof are running for the hills. It's a double kill for the side of the Sivir. Everyone is falling to the wayside. I think BDS, that could have been your last chance saloon.
BDS get wiped off the map as Fnatic secured themselves an ace and a dragon. The Baron is free for the taking as well, and Fnatic look to take a convincing win to end their losing streak.
The crowd are hyped, Fnatic are feeling good, and they're feeling good, and honestly, I gotta say, it's been off the back of basically everyone just stepping up. Everyone has been where they needed to be, playing much better, and yes, it was scrappy right at the start, but in that last team fight, which has honestly been a bit of a crux for the side of Fnatic, they looked so much more composed.
And just have a look at how this one plays out. BDS recognize they're getting collapsed on once again by Fnatic, so Cinkrof tries to force the engage. He sees that he's caught out Humanoid, the quick cleanse to try and create space between him and look at Wunder. Recognizes that NUCLEARINT is kind of isolated in his ultimate, uses the barrel to hand deliver him over to Upset, and this is where BDS, they see a good opportunity to try and force a 4 versus 4. Cinkrof gets a good ultimate off onto Wunder to take one of the big damage threats away. But then Razork is able to create space by flashing over the wall, and the TP comes in from Wunder to very quickly rejoin the fray as BDS is committing to the fight. Humanoid gets pretty low, but he can't actually close the gap. And remember that BDS want to be chipping away at their opposition. They don't have that hard committal CC unless Agresivoo can find an insane flank, which makes it so easy for Fnatic to actually kite them back and have them run into, well, the enemy run into them, while the Sivir just picks them apart.
I'm going to ask you for a little bit of trivia right now. We've had Gragas picked 4 times. How many people in the LEC have played Gragas?
Is it Wunder?
It's Wunder times 4. Wunder is the only man playing this, and you can see why he looks so comfortable on it, and it just gives that extra little bit of a threat to the side of Fnatic. You know, you have got the AP damage, but also it's just strong into a lot of meta tops right now. Does well into Gwen, does well into Gnar. All the G's in the top side, Gwen, Gnar, Gragas, they're all pretty damn good, as we can see another minion flying across the map, but these Keeper's verdicts have not been the most convincing of verdicts I've ever seen in my life. They'll finally join back in, saying, hello, lads, sorry about that. Very, very sorry about the slight interruption, but I will say for Limit, something that we haven't seen him use, a little interaction. He can put the wall up to try and block the Taliyah wall, the Unbreakable, and kind of stop it from giving a full cut-off, but just hasn't really been in a position to do that. It's been very much a focus on keeping his life going, and the life of BDS, it's fading fast, Betty.
It certainly is. They will be eliminated from playoffs. They will not have an opportunity to compete with the best that Europe has to offer. It's been a difficult season for BDS, but Fnatic, they do not care. They want to bounce back. They want to secure themselves a win. And with the Nexus in their eyes, they're looking to end the game right here, right now.
And you've got Agresivoo trying to come back to his team, but you've already lost 2 of your inhibitors. Your base
or not
is in shambles. Yeah, they're not going to end it right here, right now. They only had a couple of seconds left on that Baron buff, so they're going to try and get the resets in, get themselves to spend that gold. Look, when you're on a 0-5 loss streak, you kind of need to dot your I's and cross your T's. You don't need to make any big risky plays because that's how you lose the game.
Yeah, they're going to go back, spend their money, and immediately move their way up towards top lane. They know that with double inhibitors down, the process is simple. The plan is clear. Push in top, secure the last inhibitor, and look to end the game. Fnatic, the early game was a little bit shaky. There were windows with which BDS had opportunities to snowball, but Fnatic was very quick to shut them down, and huge props to Upset. He's been involved in 11 of the 12 kills. He has been moving a lot on the map recently. He's been a core part of why Fnatic have been able to find that success. The Baron will wear off, but another tower goes down in favor of Fnatic.
All right, BDS, you got to go out in a blaze of glory. You can't just be a death of 1,000 cuts. It has to be a massive team fight where you at least give a last chance. This is your entire season on the line. Wunder goes for the explosive cast. Doesn't really catch anybody out. The Weaver's Wall is good to try and just keep them off of this turret. Razork getting poked out a little bit, but you can see how hard it is for BDS to really make any impactful damage going down onto Fnatic. You will land a trouble bubble, but you can't even walk outside your base. You need to deal with the super minions in both mid and bot.
Wunder looking for something in the mid lane, but he recognizes, you know what, I think I'll just try and zone them away, make their life a little bit harder when clearing these waves. The bot wave is starting to stack up. Fnatic only need to be patient.
Be patient, and what you have built up shall be yours. There's going to be the Agresivoo using his ultimate defensively, and the Glacial Fissure as well coming out here from BDS. So not quite able to get those big engage ultimates out for themselves. The Nexus being pounded right now. They're being pulled left, right, and center. They need to make a decision, Betty.
Things are just falling apart for BDS. All 3 inhibitors have now dropped Fnatic. Will they look to disengage? Nope, they're going to fight.
They're going in again. Agresivoo gets flicked back as well. Wunder has found xMatty, but xMatty flashes away. Humanoid, though, does not want him to live. Agresivoo has already fallen. xMatty trying to see if he can dodge this one out, but that is not going to be possible there. The Taliyah is just too damn strong. And finally, Fnatic will find themselves a win and go 1-1 in this week and start to bring themselves back into playoff contention.
Needed win for Fnatic after what has been a difficult few weeks. They needed to get themselves back in winning ways. And while a win against BDS is expected, it could be the start of the comeback for Fnatic. They need these wins. With only 5 games left of the regular season, they need to be securing these victories, especially against teams that they are expected to beat. But of course, that does mean that with Fnatic's victory, BDS will be eliminated from playoffs. Only securing a single win at the beginning of the season against G2. They have not been able to claw a victory from any other team in the LEC. A very difficult season for the players of BDS and a difficult year for the organization.
Yeah, it hasn't been the debut of dreams, to say the least. Yep. But it is hopefully a learning experience for both the organization and the players. And I think that regardless of how things end, you can take a couple of positives, but it's always kind of bittersweet as well. Like you think of yesterday and they're a good early game. You come in today and it's just not quite coming together. But Fnatic finally bounced back after going 0-5 in a row. They have got themselves now to 1-5. So well done to them.
Yeah, we've been saying it a lot. Of course, a very convincing victory from Fnatic. We'll see what this leads them moving into Week 7 and Week 8. But their current position in the standings is not a good one, especially with how competitive our league is right now, and many games going almost in unexpected ways, with Vitality starting to climb up. Yep. Vitality and G2 now playing up next as well. That could mean a lot in the standings. XL struggling a little bit. The top side, it seems like a lot of the teams are beating each other, which then makes it harder for Fnatic because the gap is only going to continue to be bigger and bigger. So they need to find some consistency, and they need to find it fast.
Yeah, they really, really need to. But key player of the game at LEC on Twitter, Wunder, Humanoid, and Upset. I'm going to go with Humanoid personally. I think the Taliyah was great, the flick backs, and even just the Weaver's Wall to completely stop anything that BDS wanted to do was just exactly what Fnatic needed.
Yeah, I think all very honorable mentions. Of course, Upset with a very solid performance as well, being involved in nearly every single kill that Fnatic was a part of. Overall, a great team effort from Fnatic and a very solid win.
Yeah, very, very good. And I think it's going to be interesting to see now, of course. Fnatic do have a bit of an interesting week next week. They go up against SK and then G2. Lots of Kings, lots of Legacy, lots of Dynasty. I'm looking forward to the promo for that. As we, the legacy of G2 and such like that. But we're going to send it over to Frankie, who's standing by the victorious Humanoid.
Thank you very much. It's fair to say it's been quite difficult for the players of Fnatic recently, but you have just broken the 0-5 loss streak. Tell me about what these past weeks have been like for you and the team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been pretty hard since, losing so many games doesn't feel so well. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that from now we can turn it around and just keep on winning.
We had a feeling that a victory might be on the cards because there was definitely a lot of promise in your game against Mad yesterday, especially your RA being a highlight. But there has been some criticism levelled at the team over the past few weeks that you've been playing as individuals, and I know that you're responsible for calling the shots. So why would you say it's been difficult to pull everyone together and get on the same page?
I'm not sure. I think it feels a bit different these past 2 weeks than how we've been playing last split and at the start. I think we've just been playing really bad, but I think from now it's looking like we are playing a bit better. So yeah, I don't know. I think from now it's just gonna be good.
Do you think it has anything to do with what happened at the spring playoffs with the disappointment of going into the lower bracket, the last hurdle?
I don't think so. I think at the start of the split, I think we were playing fine. It's just these past few weeks that we have been like really down, and yeah, the confidence went down as well. So yeah, that's it.
How's the confidence now?
I guess it's a bit better after winning a game. Yeah.
I guess it's a bit better. That doesn't sound too confident to me. We have heard from the casters you've got SK and G2 next week. You beat G2 last time you faced them. Surely you can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be a free win.
Oh. You're thinking a 2-0 week?
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's going to be a 2-0 week. What can I say?
I mean, you can't really say much more than that apart from the fact that Fnatic, they look like they're on the up. Playoffs, though. I do want to ask you about this. Obviously, there's been a lot of discussion. Middle of the table is looking incredibly tight. You've got 5 games ahead of you. How many of those do you think you can realistically win?
I mean, probably 5. Yeah, I mean, I think like this, the end of the split matters way more than how you play in the middle or at the start. So I think, yeah, we're just gonna start winning now, and it doesn't matter that we won 5 games in a row now. I mean, lost. Because now we're just gonna win, right?
Yeah, they're behind you. You've just had a 0-5 streak. You're gonna have a 5-0 streak coming up. Hopefully, at least the fans in Berlin are hoping to see it, and the fans watching at home too. And I know we've also got some fans of Vitality and G2 watching. And my friends, you are in luck because they are coming up after this break.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
And some Kit Kat for you, and some Kit Kat for Elder, and some no Kit Kat for Barrett.